Time for a book review. Hey everyone, it's Mary. Welcome back to my channel. And as you can tell from the title of this video, we are doing a book review today, which I know a lot of people are like, book reviews don't do well on BookTube. And I'm like, I don't care. I like to talk about the books I like, and so I'm doing it anyway. And I'm talking about one of my favorite authors. But before we jump into all of that, I'll fix my seat here because I'm sliding down. My glasses are different, so if I'm like going like this, it's because these are old glasses. My doggy broke my glasses. It's fine. We're all fine. I'm just going to go get new glasses. And I apologize in advance if my super loud air conditioner pops on, because that thing pops on and like the whole room is just like shh from the air conditioner. So I apologize. We will get through this. My microphone does a good job of kind of drowning it out, some of it. So hopefully you can still hear me. If that's not the case, I'll be recording this again. All right, let's talk about By Virtue I Fall by Cora Reilly. I'll put the cover up here for a minute so you guys can see what it looks like. And if you have been on my channel for any length of time, you will know that Cora Reilly is one of my all-time favorite authors. She's the reason why I should say that I got into reading mafia romance at all. I was recommended one of her books by, I think, Mary and or Jen from the Book Refuge, and Mary from More to Mary, I think her name is, whatever her name is. Those are the two that kept recommending Cora Reilly books to me, and I eventually picked them up, and I loved them. And ever since then, her books have been kind of the standard that I hold all of the mafia books to, which is kind of unfair to other authors, but it's okay. I love y'all anyway. And I absolutely love her series. One of the things I love most about her books is that she really draws you into this world. She has a complicated mafia world that she really, really draws you into and gets you involved in and makes you love the characters, even when they're questionable people. You find yourself rooting for them and wanting them to just find their true love and be happily ever after. And that's not always an easy thing to do. So color me surprised when she released the first two books of the Sins of the Father series, and I didn't like them. I did not like By Sin I Rise Part 1 and Part 2. They were okay, but they were not the Cora that I was used to reading. So I was very worried when she talked about releasing Anna and Santino's book, because out of the entire Born in Blood series, I like the series, but my two favorite books are the two Dante and Valentina books, and Anna is their daughter. So I love those characters. I read those books over and over a million times. Love them so much. So I was like, man, if she really messes up Anna's book, I'm going to be kind of salty, because I love these characters and I'm going to be really worried about it. So thankfully, that was not the case. I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars, which is a pretty high rating for me. And I'm going to explain to you why I gave it the rating that I gave. So before I jump into all of the spoilers and things, just a heads up, spoilers. If you have not read this book, you probably want to step away and come back after you have finished, because there will probably be spoilers in this review. All right, now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, so Anna is, in case you guys just catch you up, if you have not read the Born in Blood series, which I hope you have, because otherwise I don't know why you're reading this book, but in the Born in Blood series, Anna is actually the oldest daughter of Dante and Valentina. She has Santino as a bodyguard. Santino is actually assigned as a bodyguard in Bound by the Past by Valentina and Dante. They're the one who pick him. And he's about 10 years older than Anna. I think she's like 12 when they first becomes her. I think she's 12 when he first becomes her bodyguard, and he's about 10 years older. And his father also works security for Dante and all of them, and so that's how they know him, and he gets hired for the job. So in the beginning of the book, it starts off with them meeting at that first initial meeting, and she's a little girl, and immediately Anna has a crush on Santino, and Santino thinks she's an annoying little girl. So that is the theme that kind of runs through a good first chunk of this book. Anna has this mad crush, and the older she gets, the more she tries to get Santino's attention, to the point where she actually just starts to just annoy him on purpose, because the only way I get his attention is to annoy him. And I thought it was cute, but it was also kind of annoying, because she was very bratty and very spoiled-like. And I didn't like that. But then as she gets older, you see that being spoiled kind of wear off. and her just become more of like a I go after what I want kind of person, rather than the spoiled bratty kind of attitude that she had at the beginning of the book. Santino is very loyal to the outfit. He's very loyal to Dante, and so he does not make any moves on Anna or pay any attention to her advances, because he's like, she's just an annoying child, and I'm not stupid enough to move on that and get myself fired. So that's kind of how the whole thing works. And then when Anna graduates from high school, she is given the opportunity to go to Paris to an art school, and talks her parents into letting her go by having Santino take her and be her bodyguard through an act of bribery. Basically, she catches Santino doing something that can get him killed, and she basically holds it over his head and says, you know, you're going to go with me to Paris or I'll tell my dad about this. So again, kind of bratty, and I didn't like that. So if I have to take the half a star off, part of it was because Anna's brattiness, which I thought was a little bit too much. The other part of it is due to time jump, which I'll explain a little bit later in the video. So first thing I didn't like was Anna's brattiness. That was a big, downer for me that I didn't like. So they get out to Paris, and eventually Anna's scheming works, and she ends up in bed with Santino, and thus a relationship starts. Here was my big issue, like the main reason, other than Anna being bratty, that I took a half a star off of this book. There's a time jump. And I hate time jumps with a passion. I hate time jumps. In this situation, you had where Anna and Santino begin this relationship in Paris. They're basically sleeping together. Emotions for Anna are there. She's been in love with Santino for years. He's just now starting to realize his feelings for her. But then there's a time jump. And then you come back, and it's like 3 or 4 years later. Is it 3 or 4? Don't remember how many, but it's like years later. And you're like, wait a minute, where did all the time go, first of all? And then by the time you see them at that later time period, they're in love with each other. Like, they're in a full-on relationship with each other in Paris that has been kept a secret from her parents and his dad, the entire time. And I'm like, I hate time jumps, and I feel like there are nuances of that relationship. Like, when they finally fell in love with each other, did they say I love you to each other? When did they become exclusive to each other? Like, all of these things about that relationship forming that she just kind of skipped over and went into, we're screwing, now we're in love. And you're like, wait, what happened in between that? Where did the in-between go? So I didn't like the time jump, and that was one of the main reasons I gave it the jump. However, I loved the whole storyline between Clifford and her, and how the relationship with Clifford was handled. I actually thought that the runaway bride at the wedding scene was brilliantly written. I liked it. I thought it was great. And I do really appreciate that this book, unlike My Sinner Rise Part 1 and Part 2, was more romance focused. I mean, you did not have as much mafia world building, which I was okay with, because even the Cora Chronicles and stuff, it's a lot of mafia world building, but it was very romance heavy, and I feel like that's what was missing for the first 2 books. And I felt like there wasn't as much like lovey-dovey romance, and this book really brought that back to the forefront, which I appreciated, because we read romance because we like romance, and so I appreciated this was more of a love story and not just an explaining the mafia 20 years later story or whatever. So I really appreciated that. I also am very intrigued by Leonis's character, who is the younger brother, the heir to the Chicago outfit capo seat, as we say. I don't actually know if we say that, but that's my saying. And I think his character is intriguing. So with all of that being said, I was actually very, very pleased with this book overall. Happy with the way it turned out. Loved that it was more romance focused. Loved that it was easy to read. I actually stayed up all night reading, and I could not put the book down, which again is something that I did not have with the first 2 books in the Sins of Our Father series. So I'm feeling very hopeful that Cora is going to, continue to do better. I know she's had a rough year. She's had some controversy earlier this year. I don't know what book comes next. I'm in her little Facebook group that she has for fans, but I don't know. Like, there's been some people saying that she's going to release Touch of Fate. Some people are saying she's going to release the Amo and Greta book, which was originally supposed to be released in the fall. I know that she has mentioned that her publication schedule is off now because of things that happened earlier this year. So I don't know. I think we're all just kind of anxiously waiting for her to figure out what she's doing next and go from there. But I do feel like this was a great addition to the series. I really liked seeing Dante and Valentina as older people. And I think that it was much, much better than what I was expecting it to be. So very pleased, gave it 4.5-star review, and I'm excited about what's coming next. So I would be interested in hearing if you also read the book and whether or not you liked it. What are the things you liked? What are the things you didn't like? If you left a video review here on YouTube somewhere, leave me a link to it so I can come watch a video and just hear what you have to say. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.